Alrighty, so another game for today. I have a few minutes before I have a meeting to attend, so let's take a look. Aha! So another queen's pawn move. Let's see, and we transitioned to the queen's gambit declined from the black side. Looks like my opponent had all those moves pre-moved, ready to go. So we are now in a queen's gambit declined. I think I'm going to park my bishop here on the e7 square. I can't remember if that's the best place to put it or not, but that's where I'm going with it. My opponent is ready to get his. And then I don't remember what to do with my light square bishop, to be honest with you. So now my opponent has moved. I'm going to make this capture, make my opponent make a second move. And here we are. I don't remember if this is a good idea or not. But I'm just trying to convince my opponent to make a third move with that same bishop, just to give me a little bit of tempo. Don't know where this knight's going to go. Don't know where this bishop's going to go. I'm thinking that bishop is... I don't know. I honestly don't know where the bishop's going to go. I like the idea of sticking it on the long diagonal, but that means also moving my rook underneath it. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm not in love with it. I need to figure out what to do in that case, how to better utilize my bishops. Another bishop move. Where is he going? So defend up this. Interesting. That isn't okay. So is he transitioning to something like this? That's fine. We've got that square covered. Right? Oops. If I can get my arrows to work, we got that square covered, so I'm okay there. All right. And where does the now my queen feels trapped, but let's see. What do we have? Now what can we look at? I don't really have a lot on the table right now that I could really be doing. I'd like to move this knight out of the way somewhere, but there's really not a good place to move it to. I could go here and then remaneuver it. Let's try that. It's not a great remaneuver because my opponent just has one pawn to push. But then I guess I could bring it here in front of my queen. So that's fine. I'm still looking at this alignment, right? Like there is checkmate threatened, but I have it defended. So if he takes, I take with my knight. He brings the bishop, I take, and I've got a queen, and I'm happy. So I'm just gonna go here. If he manages to get a third attacker down the board, then I do, yeah, like that, then I do need to get an additional defense. Now all I have to do is move this knight out of the way, and I've got an attacker on his knight, which he's got defended, but that's okay. This is a trade I'm actually looking at right now, considering it pretty strongly. Just to remove this threat. All right, now the question is, which way do we take back? I'm kind of wanting to take back this way, honestly. It doesn't feel right. But taking the other way feels wrong for some reason. Maybe remaneuver my bishop along this diagonal. All right, next up, what are we looking at? So I'm up a piece right now, aren't I? I'm up a piece. Can I do anything with my extra piece? This is just a nothing move, just to get my queen up, get my rooks connected. How do we want this to work? Let my opponent take, and then I take back with my queen, or I could take back with the bishop. Or I can just take, gets my opponent's queen down on this square, which I kind of want because I've got that square defended. Yeah, good job. Nah, he's got a bishop on that one. I can't take here. Now I can. If this bishop moves, yeah. Does he just drop a piece? What did I miss? Did he drop a piece? I mean, I drop a pawn, but no, I don't drop a pawn. If he takes, I take back. If he takes, no, I drop a piece in that exchange. So I have a threat here. That's why having rooks connected is important. Except that gives me extra protection. Offer a bishop trade, it's up in material. About 2 solid pieces at this point. Oh, that's an interesting move I did not see coming. All right, let us use our pawn buffer. Everything is defended. I'm guessing some kind of, oh, what did he take? Took nothing. I mean, technically it's defended by the knight. If he were to drive a rook over to put more attacks on it, I can just come here with check. Oops. Come here with check and pick up the rook. All right, do I have a check of my own yet? I could pick up a queen. Do you guys see the tactic? Yep, my opponent is in trouble now. They have to either move or pick up, and I get a queen for free. So, and that was the wrong way to do it. Alrighty, so now what do we do? Let us... This comes with a free check. I'm just going to cut off my opponent's king. Notice these are defended. I'm just cutting my opponent's king off. And let's see here. Where can my opponent's king run away to from this standpoint? Those are cut off. Those are cut off. That's cut off. He can go backwards. We just keep driving my opponent's king. What comes next? Queen here, or bishop here. Queen here. Just blocking him from going that way. Now, there is a mating pattern somewhere. I don't know it. But it looks like that's it. I was just about to say that my opponent's king is cut off from going to these two squares. And so my opponent's king cannot go down the board anymore. And then all I have to do is push him up the board. But this covers that square, that square. So if I look at it, pawn is covering those two squares, knight is covering those two squares. Opponent's king is trapped. So that was a good game. No, good for me. My opponent definitely dropped some material somewhere. So let's take a quick look at the analysis. My opponent wants a rematch. Let me go back. Too late. I should have said good game to him, but I failed it. So we transitioned into a Queen's Gambit declined. This calls it the Anto-Nimzo Indian, or the Indian game, or the Nimzo Indian. This is the anti-Nimzo Indian. And this move would have transited, like, back up here. If he had gone with this move, that queen immediately moves us into the Queen's Gambit decline lines. But this is similar enough, so I'm going to keep it as part of the Queen's Gambit series. Yeah, and then this is the trick that we know from the black standpoint. As soon as not as soon as, but we're waiting for the white light square bishop to move, because that's the defender of this pawn, before we capture the pawn to cause him to lose a tempo. So we're able to continue developing. What does the engine say? Engine says white has a slight advantage still. Even on my b5 move, white has a slight advantage. The Queen's Gambit is a very strong move order for white. Okay, bishop b7, that's what the engine says too. Okay. We're 11 moves in, and we're still following along with some other games that have existed before. Rook b8 is still on the board. So looks like there was a game in 2019 between Markolov 1 and Peregrine. Looks like Markolov 1 is much higher rated, so he wins that game. Quite an interesting move by my opponent, though. Still follow along with that other game, though. Interesting. b4 is what... Okay. Takes, I guess. I'm not certain. Either way, this is where the we diverge. So 12 move 12. We're at a brand new game, never before seen. So from here on out, let's turn the engine on. The engine says I now have an advantage. Oh, that was that slight advantage. White has a slight advantage. We're back to even. White has a slight advantage. Yeah, the engine wanted me to push. Interesting. Black has a slight advantage. Because the bishop is undefended and the rook is trapped. Oh, no, the bishop is defended. Never mind. Never mind. Ignore that. So it just gets my knight in the center of the board. It says it was not a great move from my standpoint. Oh, well. Yeah, the best move to defend is obviously this pawn push. Missing that, though, becomes major disaster. Because now that's checkmate. So we caught it. We paid attention. We learned our lessons. So black has an advantage. Oh, I see, because this pawn can't take. Because the queen is undefended. No, it's not. The queen is defended. Oh, but by offering queen trade means the threat is eliminated of checkmate. Okay. Yep, this was kind of a key moment where he dropped a piece. That was just that was a tough one. This pawn, I understand what he was trying to do. He was trying to run this pawn down, which he did, right? He successfully got the pawn in front of my king. But he dropped a whole piece in the process. And was it worth it? I mean, what did it end up helping my opponent? So taking with the H pawn would have been better in this case. All right. So Shame on me. By about a 1-point difference, according to the engine. Hey, look at that. The engine agreed with me that just getting my queen up and out of the way was a good move. All right. Hey, not too bad. Yeah, I saw this coming. My opponent didn't take it. I don't know what this move was, honestly. Maybe this was a misclick. Yeah, probably would not have made that swap just yet. I guess I could have up material. Yeah, making exchanges is probably good for me at this point. I probably should have made that exchange. But I was just looking at getting pressure on this pawn. And then my opponent dropped another piece. That's rough. That's a second piece just to throw away. That's what happens when you get frustrated, man. How many times that happened to me? Chasing one thing and you throw it away. Yeah, I've got a pretty significant advantage at this point. Taking this pawn is probably a good move. Why would I do that? Because then you just take, right? Oh no, because it is defended. Right. Ha, checkmate in 7 on the board. Checkmate in 4 on the board. So I've looked into. There's actually a really good the Chessable website is run by several people, but notably one of the guys on there is a guy that I've followed called John Bartholomew. He teaches a lot of chess videos, and he's partnered up with the Chessable website, or partnered up, or helped found it. I don't know, but they have got they just released new content on updating one of their older lessons on mating patterns. They've recently updated it to include like 100 end games you must know, and he got an opportunity to interview Magnus Carlsen, and had Magnus Carlsen go with him through 100 different checkmating positions, end games. So just to kind of demonstrate that these are things that are not just on paper they're good moves, but in practice, even the world champion goes through that set. But yeah, Chessable released their new content. I'm actually considering looking at it because it talks about endgames and mating patterns specifically. I think it's like 100 endgames you must know, and then there was another one that's like the checkmate manual or something like that, where it goes over all the different checkmate patterns. I need to look into that one day, but yeah, so we've got this cut off, so the opponent's king can't go down the board. This is cutting him off here, so the knight to here means the opponent can only go one square. Oh no, that cuts off. I see, that cuts off the queen's path. So here or here. Huh. But it says checkmate in 4. The king has to move. Double checkmate. Double check, so the king has to move back. Interesting. And now there is only one square for the king to go to, but check and mate because it's covered. Actually, there's a couple different checkmates. Yeah, go back. Yeah, there's a couple different checkmates. That's checkmate too, because that's also covered. So this is what we talk about. Bishops and rooks are fantastic long-range pieces. Knights and queens are fantastic close-range pieces. When these guys are up close and personal, they do a lot of work. When these guys are far away, they're deadly and safe. So I had checkmate on the board, but I missed it. I went for the super conservative of picking up a pawn, remaneuvering my queen to the center of the board. Opponent threw in some checks here. Really, really clever on his point. The engine says this was not the world's greatest move that I blocked with. Honestly, I debated on blocking with a knight, but I didn't want to give my opponent's chance to get their queen involved like this. So I said, you know what, forget it. Just here, and then I can block this way if he makes the exchange, which I'm happy to make the exchange. I know what he was thinking was pick this up, make this exchange. You know, I take with my queen, and then he can pick up my knight and get some material back. But unfortunately, the knight was right there to cover. And I just didn't want my opponent to have this battery again. So I was happy to make this exchange and get that bishop off the board. So from here, yeah, there's several different ways we could have defended against this. All right, from here, I have checkmate in 6. Again, I probably took the slow route to get there. Yeah, I definitely checkmate in looks like 10 moves, 11 moves. So 6 is a little bit better than 11. But yeah, I saw this tactic, right? I saw this tactic, and that to me is too good to pass up. I am sure that right, checkmate is better, but I don't know the checkmate patterns well enough, but come on. This is a trap that we've seen so many times that it has to be involved in our brain, locked in our brain, that we take the queen. Comes with a check, and now, all right, so how do we... So I went knight d3, which still should be checkmate in 4. My opponent went king e4, which should be checkmate in 2. I just didn't see it. So let's see here. Pick a pattern, Joe. Pick a pattern. Bishop here, cutting off all of this. The knight is cutting off this, and no, the knight is cutting off this and this. The queen is cutting off here. So if this bishop goes here, the king can't move. The king is in stalemate because that's covered, that's covered. This is all covered. This is all covered. This is covered. And that just leaves that one covered by the knight. So the king is in 100% stalemate, cannot move. He's got lots of pawns, he can still move. He's got a rook that he can still move, so he's not actually in stalemate. But he makes any move, don't care what it is. Then I should be able to come up with checkmate, yeah. Get that queen up nice and cozy with the king. So I missed checkmate, but that's all right. I still got it there in the end. Checkmate in 1, rook f2. Right. And then rook to here, I cut off that square. Yeah, okay, so I missed rook f2. We got there, it just took us a while, didn't it? Took us a while, we got there. All right, well anyway, I need to brush up on my checkmate patterns, obviously. It took us 11 moves, 12 moves to do what should have been done in 4. So, yeah, I need to work on that. Anyway, all right, guys, thanks so much. I appreciate you watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye.